Hi, and welcome to the video user manual for Team Muffin Men's Campus Kitchen UGA Salesforce project. So to begin, our first level of instruction will be how to get to the website. So right now, the URL is here, and we have copy and pasted this into the actual project manual, so it is available just for copy and paste or for reference in this video, just this URL right here, and that's where we go. We come to the login page, and you'll see here that the login page requests us to access this page through a Campus Kitchen UGA login. So I'm going to type in my Campus Kitchen UGA / Salesforce login, which will of course be different when a user creates their own login. But this is the login that I'm using. And then I will press login. And after it loads, we will come to the home page. Here there are a number of things to notice. We have a search bar here where you can look up a client. So type anything you want in really, and it will search the site for that client. Or for anything else actually, if you just want to type in a keyword there. We also, in the middle of this home page, have the summary dashboard that shows summaries of important data, so senior served, youth served, rural clients served, meals delivered, and container return rate. So you can refresh this report here, so if you change any of the settings, you can refresh. Let's see, before we delve into anything else more specific, here's the user information, so where you can change your settings or your profile or go back to the home page. This little bell is where you'd have notifications. Not really sure if there would be any instance of that here, but just in case. And okay, so returning back to this dashboard, you can mouse over to see the percentages of container return rate, and these are the last names in alphabetical order. Now to change these, right now it's for every sample data item we have, but if we wanted to change them, we could go into View Report and edit the filters. So change the dates or change some other information, and that would update the dashboard. So again, we go back to home, we can click on View Report, we can change a filter if we want to, or whatever we'd like to change, save this report, and then go back to home, refresh the dashboard, and have a refreshed dashboard with whatever new information we'd like. So moving from here, we will not need this square. This is more for a Salesforce type setup, so this is not necessary right now. The topics are not necessary right now. They're just an automatic tab that was populated. The Clients tab, however, we click on Clients if we want to look at clients. Here the default is to show recently viewed. Maybe we don't want to do that. We want to see all of our clients. That's what most likely would be used. It's sorted by client ID, it says, and it's updated a few seconds ago. So here we have a list of every client we have in our database. And in this view, it only provides the first and last name view. Of course, if you can change the view if you want. You can display it as a Kanban board. I don't know why you'd want to in this case. It doesn't really make sense. But if you want to know more, you can click on a client ID and it will pull up all of the information for that client that you have in the system. So let's go back to our client tab, and we're going to view all again. So we now know how to view more about a client. We just click on the client ID. But we can also edit a client if we click edit here. This is all the information, but I could change some of this and press save and have, some new information. So I'm going to update the secondary phone number really quickly. Just add something. And here, let's see, we'll say 497. Okay, and then I'll just save it. Then I can click on this, and we will see that there's now a secondary phone number in the information that we've gathered. So something to note there. You can update any record you'd like. So then, let's see, what else can we do? We can delete a record. I'm not going to click on this now because I don't want to delete any of our sample data. But let's make a new client, and we'll just make some stuff up for these fields. So I'm adding the city, the address here. The zip code is necessary. I'm going to assign a route here. I'm going to say route 7 and find it in my database and click OK. Let's see, program, grandmother's raising grandchildren, meal count, we're going to say we need 6 meals for this family, and save it. So this is client 11, I've created all of this, and now we're going to delete this client just to show what happens when you delete a client. So here's client 11, we're going to go here, we're going to delete. Are you sure you want to delete? Absolutely. We delete. Let's view all to make sure it's gone. And it's gone. So that's a full demo of how to create a client record, see more information about a client, to update a client, or delete a client. So now client visits is the exact same way. It works the exact same, except it's for the client visit table, so there are of course different fields, but these are all the client visit records. You can press new here to create a new client visit. So here it's by client ID, so you just kind of look for whatever client you need, or you can add a new one directly. And you just link it up, you choose follow-up, you have the delivery event date, number of containers delivered, returned, etc. And you can click save and create a new client visit. You can also, let's see here, we can edit a record just the exact same way. Here you can just edit whatever you'd like, whether it's how many meals were delivered, or how many containers were delivered. You can also delete a record just the same as you could for a client record. So exactly the same thing that we walked through step by step for clients works for client visits. Just be aware, of course, there are different fields in client visits because it's a different table, but the clicking on a client visit to see more information works exactly the same way as clients. And continuing that line of thought, we will see delivery routes. Works exactly the same way as the other two tables. So you can create a new delivery route here by typing these fields in. The ones marked with red are required. Red asterisks equal required fields. then you can save. So I'm just going to try to do this without doing the required field. Look what comes up, an error. So enter that information, press save for a new field, or you can edit or delete from this arrow, which we already know after our 2 previous trainings. So I think we've pretty much mastered all of the client visits, delivery routes that we have here. One note here quickly, these are not all the tables in our database. So we don't have much in our drivers table as of yet. But when that is populated and fully filled out, it can be added to this tabletop by clicking this community builder. So just a side note, that won't be in this training of how to add that since we don't have any information in that table yet. But just a side note for users, that's how you would start that process. Continuing with our training. We are now in the Reports tab. In this Reports tab, we have all of the reports that we've created for Campus Kitchen listed. Now we can click on any single one of these reports and we can get whatever. This is meals delivered, so we see the name, an ID, we see the delivery route name, we see the client visit ID, we see meal count, senior count, and youth count. This can be filtered by delivery event date, so right now it's kind of like half a year, or missed delivery equals false, which is how we've arranged it thus far. So obviously if it's false, that would mean that you have only the meals delivered, but of course you can click on these filters to change them. So this is custom range. You can just click on the map and change it to whatever you want. I'm going to change to the first. Click done, click apply, ta-da. We now have a different, slightly different, not vastly different report. So that can be done for the date. Also could be done for missed delivery. You could change that to true. I don't know why you would want to because this is a meals delivered report, but just to keep in mind. With summary report, these are just the summary statistics that we had from the dashboard. So we click on summary report. We see the totals at the top here. We see client ID and name. We see a count of the records per client. You see the sum, how many people are rural. If they are rural, it's 1. If they're not, this is 0. Senior counts. We count all the seniors, we count all the youth, we count all the meals, and we count the number of containers returned. This is the summary report. You see here, you can change the filter. Right now, it's the current fiscal quarter. You can always change that to a custom range. Just click on whatever date you want to filter by, and then click custom or whatever date range you'd like, and then apply that filter. So that's how you change it. Continuing on, we have let's see, what have we covered? Let's do unique families. So this is a report of all the unique families, and what unique families means is just, a family that's been served by Campus Kitchen. We're not counting each individual record they have. So here we have last name, first name, household count, rural, and client count. This has already been built. So if you want to filter by maybe when it was delivered, you can just, again, click on this field and customize the date that you want to look at. Going back to reports, let's see what we have left. We need to do missed deliveries. So missed deliveries, we want to see which ones were delivered, and there were some criteria here, so kind of 2 in a row or 3 of the last 5. We were not able to deliver the 3 of the last 5 kind of functionality, but what we did instead was pull those missed, you can see the exact filters here, missed delivery equals true, and then ordered that from the date that's, most in the past. So for this record, for example, you can see Laura had a missed delivery on August 31st, but only that one, so it's not a big deal. You can see how many records they had here. Annie has had 2 though, so that might be a little concerning. But they weren't 2 in a row. Well, they were 2 in a row because the cycles are every 2 weeks. So you would just look at these dates, and if they're 2 weeks apart, you see that they've been missed 2 in a row. And that's the idea of this report. If you want to change the date range, you can click here. If you want to change missed delivery to false, you can do that too, but it would not make much sense since this is a report about missed deliveries. Let's move along to meal planning report. So the meal planning report is used when Campus Kitchen is planning their meals for a given week, a weekly cycle. And here we have these standard columns. We have last name, household count, bag only, meal count, background, meal additions, and meal restrictions. And then we have these filters on this report, which are the things you would change. So this is for a delivery day of Monday and a weekly cycle ID of 1. But if I want to change this to maybe Tuesday, I could do that. I don't think we have anything for Tuesday, but we could try it. See, we don't have anything for Tuesday, but I can change it back to Monday and all is well. Correct? You could also change the weekly cycle ID to 2. Just by clicking on this filter. You click on filters, you click on what filter you want to change, and then change it, and then press done and press apply. And ta-da, we have even more things. So just ways to customize your reports. This is how you do it. Let's see, what have we not looked at? We've looked at meal planning, we've looked at unique, we've looked at summary, we looked at delivered, missed. Let's look at one of the all client notes, maybe this one, all client visit notes. Here is a report of all client visit notes. Every single note we have in the database thus far is in this report. You see they're grouped by event date, so you can see that here. And it's grouped in ascending order. You can see the little arrow. So, say August 31st, we had these 3 delivery events to these people with a missed delivery. You have the checkbox, so we had 2 missed deliveries, designated follow-up, and the delivery event notes. Again, you can filter these by clicking, this is by date, so you can change the date. Right now it's a year, but maybe you want to see the span of 3 months, or a month, or a week. You just click on this filter button, click on the delivery event date, and change whatever you'd like to change. So that's about all you can customize on those reports. But let's just finish up going through these reports. We've got the client visit cumulative notes. This is just for a client, all of their notes, which can be edited. Obviously, you don't always want to look at the same client, so you might want to enter a different last name or a different date range. I don't know who I would want to look at. We could change this to Harry Dog. Harry and Dog. Click apply. You notice it highlights in blue what you've changed, so you know what you're doing. It highlights in blue when you click on filters, so you know what you're working with. And here we've changed it to Harry Dog. You can see all of his event notes. All right, so gone through all of these reports. Let's look at some net loss of containers. So the net loss of containers report is something new you might not be familiar with. The other reports have kind of all been established Campus Kitchen reports. This is new. So what we have here is the client's name. We have the count of records that they have, and then a little subtotal bar for each of these because you want to keep kind of a subtotal for each. Then you have the total containers returned for this client, the total delivered containers. This is all in the subtotal column because that's how Salesforce works in its tables or in its report tables. And then we have a container return rate, which is of the containers delivered, how many did they return? You see that there must be some information we didn't have in this database. They've returned 7 containers. They've only been delivered 6. So maybe they returned one that they found laying around from maybe like 3 years ago. And then we have a total net containers, which is just those returned count as positives and those delivered count as negative. So they have one net container. And the same goes for each record here. You can filter by custom date range. I only have this for October because I wanted to look at October. You can change it to whatever you'd like. Any user can change it to whatever they like, actually, but we don't want to do that. This is also why I'm here, is the refresh button. So if you want to refresh, if you add a new data, just click refresh. You can also press settings if you want to change, if you don't want to see the subtotals anymore. You can take the subtotals out. They're kind of important for this. If you want to see details, we could show details. This would show you for each kind of, how we said there were 3 records. You can see each of the records individually. But that kind of makes the whole visual very busy, so I like to keep the details out of this report. So again, to change this, settings, I uncheck details, I press apply, and then my report is refreshed. So this little wrench looking thing here is for settings for your report. You can choose what details to show. I think we're getting close to the end. We're not quite there yet. Bag packing is very similar to kind of meal planning. It's a planning report of how to pack bags. These have been bucketed into small, medium, and large households, which were some criteria given to us by Campus Kitchen. You see the last name. You see the delivery route that they're on. You see the program they're on. You see meal additions, meal restrictions, background, household count, if they're a bag-only family. The filters used for this are the weekly cycles. So if I wanted to change this to 1, again, filter, click on the filter you want to change. You could also change the date if you wanted to. I want to change this to a 1, so I click on weekly cycle ID, I type 1, and I press done, I press apply, and ta-da, we have changed it to 1, where we don't have any large households. So you don't see that in this left-hand side. Let's see, so we want to finish up. Let's go to meal planning. We talked about meal planning, actually. Let's go to delivery routes. So delivery routes show what route you're on, show the client that's on that route, show how many records belong to each of those, so how many visits basically. That's what a record count means in this context. And then the total containers delivered, which is the primary goal of this. That's why we have a subtitle row. And yes, we have Route 2, Route 4, we have the clients that are on those, the record counts, and the total containers delivered. These are filtered by the current fiscal quarter and weekly cycle of 2. I can change this to a 1. Again, filter, click, done, apply, but we only have 1 route there, so not as fun, but you could do it if you wanted to. Again, you can edit here and see details if you wanted, or take away the subtotals. I really think it's better with the subtotals, or if you don't want counts, you could take out counts. But I think counts are very important. But that's just a way. You can click settings and click apply. So we're getting towards the end now. We're now hitting 12-month ACCA report, which is a report of how long a client has been in. So if they've been in the ACCA for 12 months, you can see them in this report. And the way that this is filtered is off of the date referred, and then is just to go the previous, or from the date referred, it shows that year. So if it's been a year from today to the previous date referred, that sounds very confusing. but it's showing within the previous year if they've been referred. You can see those records. You can see their last, first name, primary phone, the date referred, bag only. And of course, you can change this to whatever year you want. I have it set on 2016. So if they were referred in 2016, it's 2017. Obviously, they've been in there for more than a year. So that's the way that this works. But you can change it in the future if you'd like to see those that were referred during 2017 and it's 2018, you want to see who's been in it for a year. You can definitely change that date range, as we've discussed several times thus far. Finally, we're getting to the last report, arguably one of the most important, bag tags. So bag tags show the last name, the route, the household count, whether it's a bag only, the meal restrictions, and also the program. So this is for all the records that we have currently. Of course, you can add filters if you want to. There are none here because these bag tags are printed out kind of on a consistent basis. So any information change, so if you edited a client, it would automatically refresh this, or you could refresh it yourself. Yes, but this is actually the last report that we're going to go over. Alright, so we've seen all of the functionality that this site has, and we've walked through the steps of clicking on a client visit or delivery route, seeing more of the information, updating one of those records, deleting one, adding a new record, looking at every single report, how to customize them, how to add filters, how to edit the filters, how to change date ranges. Yes, and we've seen the same similar type thing for the dashboard, how to click on this view report and change that filtering in order to change the dashboard, which is pretty much all the training we have here in terms of functional use. Of course, I mentioned before, here's where you would click log out, or where you could change your profile or your settings. So if I just click on my profile, this is something that other members of this community could see, which is not really relevant at this point, but it could be in the future. And then my settings is just your password you can change, your photo, your email notifications, that sort of thing. Just a very standard web template. So checks here and save or cancel. So I'm going to hit cancel since I like my settings the way that they are. And then I'm going to return to the home page by clicking this home button. Check my notifications. I don't have any notifications. Let's see what else I could show. If I click on one of these reports, well, again, clicking all the reports, you kind of see how that works. We can look at all of the delivery routes, just reviewing what we've learned, the clicking of, let's see all the records, and here you can add filters again, or create a new thing, refresh, edit some of the settings. But that is pretty much everything that we've created, everything you need to know on how to use it. So very simple, mostly self-explanatory, but of course this video is meant to help you learn the connections between both things like the dashboard and reports, but also how to add new records, how to delete those, how to customize your reports, etc. So that will wrap up this training manual / user manual, and I'll wrap it up by logging out of my account. We are now officially logged out, and I want to thank you for listening, for paying attention, and I wish you happy Salesforce.